All right, party people, we are going live here, and I need to adjust my microphone. So we had a very eventful day today. I'll be getting into it. Want to give it a moment, so please, again, skip forward to about 2 minutes in. I'm going to wait here for a couple of people to join the live stream as we just started going live. I had a little delay there. So again, please skip forward to about 2 minutes into this live stream. All right, we got some people joining in. We got Abdi. Hello. All right, folks. So we will be chopping it up here in about another minute. I'm going to give a little bit more time for people to join. It was a very eventful day today. A little bit low in energy when the day began. It was a very hot day in Owings Mills. Just waiting on a couple more people to join here. Give it another 30 seconds or so. All right, let's get cracking. So again, I'm going to be running through the way training camp went. I do not have my notebook with me, but I think I've got a good memory of most of it. It was a pretty eventful day, as I mentioned. So it was definitely the hottest day of training camp so far. Unbelievable humidity in Owings Mills at the Castle at One Winning Drive. So started out there, special teams work very early on. A ton of special teams work, especially considering the Ravens have their first, I believe, padded practice tomorrow at M&T Bank Stadium. So you got to get that special teams work in ahead of time. They worked on that for the first half hour. Then I spent a lot of time watching the offensive linemen. It appeared that they were a little bit more active than they've been in terms of drills and what they wanted, what Coach Joe D wanted from his offensive line. And so I ventured over there. Today's starting orientation was a little different. Ben Cleveland was taking reps at left guard. So on day one, it was Tyree Phillips. Day two was Ben Powers. Day three, Ben Cleveland getting his shot on the offensive line. I believe they started with Andre Smith at left tackle again, and then they worked into pass sets. They were working on pass sets, especially outside pass sets, or kind of carrying guys to the perimeter from any alignment, whether it's guard, center, or tackle, whatever it was. Jody worked with Villanueva a lot. He was trying to get him to basically be a little more aggressive in they were 5 feet from me, so I could hear pretty vividly. He was trying to get him to be more aggressive in terms of attacking once defenders had fully committed to the arc, and wanting him to really get his hands, lock out, and drive through them, as opposed to trying to run them around the arc. What I did see, nothing too crazy there. Zeitler had some good reps, it looked like, and nothing too crazy. The one thing I did kind of see was that Andre Smith just, again, it's drills and whatnot, and in comparison to everyone else, he looked pretty slow in his pass sets. He wasn't able to gain as much ground. He wasn't able to deal with speed as much. And again, he was having fellow offensive linemen rush, and it was just taking him way too long to get back around the outside. So it seems like it transitioned to Tyree Phillips at left tackle after those. I don't think there was any sort of big, ordeal going on, but Tyree Phillips started taking a good bit of reps with the ones at left tackle. So from left to right, it was Phillips, Cleveland, Bozeman, Zeitler, and then Villanueva. Then from there, I migrated over to the receivers again, and it was again, very similar day in terms of Keith Williams setting up, getting ready. Some of the drills were similar. They ended up doing a contested catch drill where they had two receivers play DBs and try and just jam and create a tight window. To the outside is running through contact. James Prochet had a really, really, really impressive catch there. Other than that, there was nothing too crazy. Duvernay had a nice snag. Bateman had one that rattled off. I think Deion Kane dropped one. A couple guys had some drops in those, but it was, that's what they're working on, contested catches. So they ran through those. One of the more interesting things today, so Keith Williams did speak with the media today, and I'll get to that later, but he had the running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers all together running the same drills. And again, it was those those drills that were focused on stopping weight. People are calling them stop and go. I guess that's a good phrase for it. I don't know if that's what they call it, but it was, taking a couple explosive steps and dropping your knees, sinking your hips, and stopping your momentum. You do that every, 3 steps with cones that are about a yard, 2 yards apart, and stop your momentum. And we see Keith Williams going through it, and he really wanted receivers to stop, completely halt their motion. So he's going through it again. And the first receiver of all of those positions, running back, tight end, receiver, that I saw mimicking Keith Williams as almost perfectly was J.K. Dobbins. And you got to think, especially that has to do with his ability to jump cut and jump stop and change direction and all of those things. Keith Williams did it, and Keith Williams is stopping. The other guys were kind of keeping their momentum, keep rocking through. They were just sinking their weight. But Williams kind of stopped it and ran through, and then J.K. Dobbins was nailing it. So he's looked really good. I was a little surprised. Greg Roman had some post-practice comments. He was like, oh, yeah, J.K. Dobbins didn't catch a ton of passes in college, and we didn't have a ton of time to work last year. We were focused on getting up to speed as a running back. He caught like 50 or 60 balls in college, which is good bit for a running back, especially running back in the Big Ten. But he looks good. Other than that, it looked. I like Josh Oliver's movement skills. Eli Wolf had a nice day as well, running through drills. No Hollywood Brown out there again today, so he's definitely tight. Maybe we'll see him tomorrow. Who knows? They definitely want to err on the side of caution there. Sammy Watkins looks really, really good. James Prochet, again, his hands are so quiet. He had a strong, looked good in drills. I don't think he had a ton of targets today. I think he caught a couple passes, and there was a couple inaccurate passes. But then the team broke into 7-on-7s, and I believe they started with 7-on-7, and Trace McSorley was cooking with gas. He was absolutely tearing it up. McSorley, I believe, threw a touchdown on back-to-back plays. He hit Sammy Watkins on a corner in the hole in the end zone. This was red zone, so it was all from within the 20 or around the 10 and through there. Hit Sammy Watkins. He had Mark Andrews motion from a 3-by-1. Andrews on the strip side. I believe it was the trips was to the field, and Andrews motioned from the 2 to the 3 and got lined up with Patrick Queen. The defense responded, so it was Patrick. He was pretty far inside, so it was kind of a 3-by-1, not trips necessarily. And Andrews gave him one inside move, and Queen had okay coverage. I mean, he definitely got beat, but McSorley laid one way over top, and Andrews had a diving, flying touchdown, and that got people going. So I believe those were in pretty quick succession. Kenji Bahar had a beautiful throw to the back pylon on the right side. I believe it was on the boundary side for this one. So it was Miles Boykin lined up against Marcus Peters. Boykin got maybe 2-3 yards from, maybe probably 3 or 4 yards from the back pylon, and Marcus Peters was neutral with him, and he gave a really nice, quick head fake inside, and then broke back outside, snapped outside. It was really nice to see from Boykin, and Peters grabbed him. Boykin chopped it right off and then snagged the ball for a touchdown. Drew a defensive pass interference flag. The ref threw a flag on it. Boykin got it anyway, so that was pretty awesome. Eli Wolf had a back pylon fade. I don't think he was in bounds, but he made a really impressive effort and catch. He also snuck behind the defense at one point, and a little bit of a busted coverage. He had a touchdown. He looked pretty good today too. Oliver was a consistent target in full team drills. There was some boots where Oliver is leaking into the flat. He had a couple nice slants and some things like that. I don't think anything too crazy downfield, but the real showstopper of the day, as I'm sure everyone saw already, was Rashod Bateman. Got a couple more targets today. Him and Marlon Humphrey on the left side going towards the, I think, south end zone, towards that infamous pond where Jordan Lasley kicked a football. Bateman was matched up with Marlon Humphrey from probably the 10-yard line, I believe, and gave a little hezzy inside, and then he got well past Marlon Humphrey and got a jump ball, I think, from McSorley. Might be mistaken there, but I think from McSorley, and he just dunked on Marlon. Mark Andrews came sprinting over, jumps in the air, they chest bump and makes a big deal. Marlon looked pretty pissed. He wasn't making a big deal, but he kind of was like there for a minute, hands on the hips, and then he ended up going and looking at an iPad for a long time. I'm not sure if he was just a little overheated. A couple guys it was really hot. Anyone who's overheated, it is what happens in practice when you're going at it for 20 straight minutes. It's like you're on a 30-play drive at times. So super, super hot. Humphrey was taking a knee a little bit, getting some water, and he was looking at the iPad. He was kind of quiet for a while as the Ravens, got into another drill later. Humphrey went back over to the sideline. He was with Marcus Peters and he was, using his hands, cutting up motion and trying to describe what was going on and all this stuff. And you could hear him going, and I think he was talking about what Rashod Bateman did to him. He had a couple reps on Bateman. I think there was like 1 or 2 incompletions. And so then Bateman in 11-on-11 drills is matched up, I believe on a 2-receiver set to the right-hand side. Bateman is matched up with Peters. He goes towards the boundary, gives himself a little bit of space to the boundary, but he gave inside hezzy a little bit, like enough where it was like, okay, I'm trying to run a fade. He made it look like he was really trying to set Peters up to run a fade. So he hits the hezzy inside. Peters doesn't fall for it. And then Bateman turns on the jets, gets almost even with Peters, who was starting to turn. So Peters starts to rotate inside a little bit. Bateman started to drift just a hair inside, pointed his toes upfield a little bit, sat down on a dime, broke a comeback to the outside. Peters flipped his hips the wrong way. As soon as Peters opened, Bateman just worked him right back to the sideline, turned Peters around, catches the ball. They're not tackling or anything. It looked to me like Bateman would have immediately beaten Peters down the field. And then I can't recall the safety, but a safety came over top and it was a sprint to the end zone. Peters had gotten beat, so he's not going to go tackle Bateman, but Bateman looked really great there. Looked super, super, super impressive. A couple interesting other things, defensively, Dafe Owe was dropping back in coverage. He was working with the ones a ton. Broderick Washington was rotating in a little bit. Dalen Hayes was getting a good bit of run. And one of the more interesting things to me, so it looks like Brandon Stevens has really started to lock himself into a safety role as of now. And him and Geno Stone taking a ton of second-team reps. I think Stevens might have rotated in with the ones just a little bit. Sometimes it's a mixed bag. You'll see Justin Ellis out there with Calais Campbell, and you'll see, Anthony Levine playing deep safety and Khalil Dorsey on the outside. So sometimes it's a mixed bag. Different things happen, but looks kind of like Stevens is on that second-team safety group. I haven't really seen any blown assignments from him that I've noticed. Again, I can't keep my eyes on everybody, but feels like he's definitely in that second group. So Nigel Warrior is getting a ton of snaps at boundary corner. A ton. He's matched up with Sammy Watkins a lot. He's rotated into some safety, playing so much corner. To me, I believe that is to improve his man coverage skills and his ability to actually match up and assign with receivers and different body types. I don't think they're going to be deploying him at corner. He had a big interception down the field. It was a jump ball. Can't recall who threw it. Jump ball. I couldn't see through the coaches. Jump ball and snagged it away, I think, from Jalen Moore, if I'm not mistaken. Ripped the ball away, and then he emphatically spiked the ball on the ground. He was pumped. Defense was pumped for him. He came up a little limp with a little limp late in the 2-minute drill and got replaced by Chris Westry, who was vibing out. So energy at practice, like I said, was pretty low early on. Then the speakers turned on. They were bumping Jeezy. They were bumping a bunch of stuff, and it definitely picked up, especially towards the end. Defense in full team 11-on-11 and in red zone drills towards the end of practice really started to put the clamps down. McSorley and Huntley couldn't really – seems like they got pretty lost towards the end of practice when they were going through their reads. They were tucking the ball. Between the two of them, they must have tucked it at least like 12 or 13 times. McSorley at one point tucked the ball like 5 out of 11 reps that he had. They couldn't find much. The defense started to really lock down and clamp down. So I think coverage was starting to get a little stickier towards the end and a little more cohesive. Mark Andrews had a couple of drops. He beat Anthony Levine on a wheel route. Levine's playing a lot of deep safety right now. I think they just trust him to communicate and get everyone aligned. He's been in the system for so long. So they got Levine matched up on Andrews. Andrews beats him on a wheel route. The ball is decent enough ball for sure. And Andrews just bobbles it, flicks it out of bounds, trying to stab at it. So, and love him to death. He moves so incredibly well. He had a couple big catches today for sure. He's just, such a large human being. He doesn't have, quick hands. He kind of catches the ball, lets it lodge in, and some things like that. So it's all good. It happens from time to time, but he had a big touchdown, had a couple drops there. One of them was a little behind him, but wasn't really able to adjust to it. But he looks like he's moving really well. And overall, the defense started to clamp down. Away was dropping into coverage quite a bit from what I saw moving around. Jalen Ferguson was doing the same thing. He was playing in space a ton. And it was, good effort from the defense towards a portion of practice. J.K. Dobbins caught a couple passes throughout the day. He caught a swing pass that, from what I saw, nobody was touching him for at least 15 yards. And then there was some defenders in the area. So he was completely rolling. I think we saw some good plays and coverage from Dalen Hayes. He understands spacing. He has speed, man. Dalen Hayes is a good defender to run down the sideline and banana, as I like to put it. I think a lot of linebackers coaches call it that when you're pursuing back hip and you want to kind of trail them so that you force them to the boundary and they can't cut back. If they outrun you, you're screwed. But if you trust your speed, you can banana in a little C shape towards the sideline and go get him. Dalen Hayes looks really sharp doing that. I know Wink was talking about Away. I think on the far side of the field, he shut down a speed option. Quarterbacks and running backs were working on speed options a ton. Tyson Williams dropped one. And Williams seems like a nice player, man. He seems very in tune, especially even in the passing game. He looks like he's got his eyes in the right places as he's working through traffic. Again, no pads, so you can't really quite see. Huntley had an okay day. Wasn't, again, both Trace and Huntley were struggling a good bit to get the ball out. I would say McSorley definitely won the 7-on-7 period. And like I said, later in practice, they struggled. Huntley broke the pocket once, and it was him and Brandon Stevens in the open field. So, again, no tackling. You're not going to tackle the quarterback anyway. Not sure what would have happened there, but Huntley was moving. But Jalen Moore had a deep drop for what would have been a touchdown in the 2-minute drill. Huntley was very upset. It was a little, the ball was leading him, so it was towards full extension. I won't even say it was didn't require a spectacular catch, and I would have charted as a on-target catchable ball if I was charting. And Huntley was not happy one bit. I definitely say Marcus Peters, didn't have a great day today, coming off the toenail thing, but him and Marlon spent so much time, they're laughing and stuff at some points, but they spend so much time and they're moving their hands and pointing to areas of the field. They seem to be really, really, really deep in conversation, talking through things, different scenarios. Deshaun Elliott always wants to get involved in their conversation. So, and it ends up being the core four a lot of the time. Jimmy Smith talks to everybody, so he might not be there, but it'll be Marlon and Marcus Peters talking, and then Chuck Clark and Deshaun Elliott will move on over and start chopping it up. Our Darius Washington, I don't think people are hearing his names. I just don't think he's getting a ton of snaps. He hasn't been targeted a ton. He was aligned in the slot a little bit. They rotated from a 2 high to him down into the slot to follow a motion. Ben Mason has been working in, the Ricard move role a lot out of the slot, especially, if it's second team, third team. I think he got a lot of snaps today. I think Ricard might have taken it a little easy. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like I saw Ben Mason on the field a lot more, especially in second and third and, mixed bag situations. So he was that move F role where he's coming across the formation and then he's leaking out into the flat. We saw Ricard do that. Mason, a very linear, type of guy. Like I said, he's running in a straight line a lot of the time. Wants to get downfield or upfield or go north and south. Doesn't have any wiggle to him as you would expect. So that was a situation, and I don't think I touched on it enough. I mean, Sammy Watkins has continuously lit up each day of practice. Day 1, day 2, and day 3 now. He had 2 touchdowns, I believe. I know that he had 2. He may have had more. I can't catch everything, but he is reliable. He's catching speed outs. He's working on the outside. He's getting separation. He's beating the defense over top. He's working across the field. He looks really, really good. Really, 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 really good. He, no matter who the quarterback is consistently getting targeted, consistently catching the ball, and making a lot of plays. So Definitely those guys. Tylan Wallace, to me, looks pretty sharp, just movement skill-wise. The way he catches the ball, where he frames the ball, it looks like he has good hand positioning to receive the pass. Keith Williams. Everyone's making this huge deal about the soccer balls. Like if you listen to a press conference, every single reporter is asking about these soccer balls, and it's been going on for 30 years. That's nothing new. It helps you frame the ball, helps you work on extension, how to receive a football. It makes your hands form that nice circle I talked about yesterday. But people are acting like this is some sort of revelation in technique. I mean, you use different balls. I talked about it yesterday. The reaction sticks, I think, as Garnett called them. Those things too. So it's like, yeah, they use some soccer balls. They'll also use tennis balls. You use anything you can. You're working on hand-eye coordination. You're working on being able to catch anything. So that's a little bit of a funny narrative to me. But Keith Williams definitely doing a great job. Like I said, it was good to see him have the backs and the tight ends. Tony Poljan was working into rotation, it looked like, with the ones just a touch at points. And I don't think he had many targets today, but he looks pretty solid. I think Eli Wolf was moving well, but it just seems like Josh Oliver, I think Roman touched on it in the press conference as well. Josh Oliver, they're giving him every rep he can take, especially towards, the first and second team reps. They really like him. I think that he's he's built, a little lanky, but he looks stout at the same time. I think he's a guy that can do some things in the run game a little more than expected. Eric Tomlinson was working. He's the Nick Boyle fill-in. It feels like I would be a little bit surprised. I'm not sure what the dead money is there or what. I would be a little bit surprised to see Eric Tomlinson on the opening day roster, especially, if Nick Boyle starts the season in reserve, wouldn't be shocking to see Tomlinson be the guy. But if Boyle's back before that Raiders game, I don't think there's a chance in hell Tomlinson's making the team. Practice squad guy, it feels like. I'm not sure if they even can practice squad him. I'm not sure where he's at in his career, but I would be surprised there. Chris Westry didn't get a ton of reps today, from what I saw. I don't think he saw a ton of targets either, if I'm not mistaken. LJ Fort looked strong in coverage as usual. He's just so calm, so patient. Patrick Queen, moving around, communicating a ton. I think Bowser was a little overheated at one point. Him, Marlon, and Ferguson, I think, took a bunch of reps at one point, and all three of them were separately kind of taking a knee away from the guys, drinking water, pouring water on their necks, taking a breather for like 5 or 10 minutes. So that was the long and short of what I saw today. It's not everything. Definitely go look for other people. Cleveland took all the snaps at first team left guard, it looked like, whenever they were in the first team. And if Bozeman and Zeitler and Villanueva were on the field, so was Cleveland. So it looks like they gave him an honest shot, and it's an open event. So let's see. I'm going to go through the comments here a little bit. We're about 22 minutes in. Let's see. Garnett says, I hope to God they leave Phillips at tackle. I feel like they kind of have to, unless they make a move there. I feel like they kind of have to. Adrian Ely, he's a guy I wasn't able to notice anything, but he's getting a ton of reps. He's out there too. So I think he's someone who could definitely be a backup tackle based on what I saw in college and all that good stuff. Andre Smith, I think Garnett was talking about. We'll see. We'll see what happens with him. I would be pretty surprised to see him on the team come opening day. Were they not playing press on the receivers? No, they press, and people get confused. I know probably Garnett not, but press is one thing versus jamming. Jamming is when you're actually touching. Press is just when you're within 2 yards of the receiver at the line of scrimmage. Jimmy Smith, it's really funny to watch. Jimmy Smith at this point, when he's on the field, like, he will be standing there. The offense will be lined up. He'll be standing there with his hands on his hips, and as soon, like, he is not even remotely close to getting ready. And then you'll see his man run in motion, and right before they run in motion, he gets off. He knows the motion. He's been with the Ravens for so long. He's seen all the tricks and trades of this offense and all the motions. Like, he's on it, man. No one is beating Jimmy Smith. He is never blowing an assignment. A guy might catch a ball on him. Sammy Watkins, I think, got one on him yesterday, but he knows everything coming. It's just funny to watch at this point. I'm not sure what Wink mentioned about Brandon exactly. Let's see. Someone finally talking Ravens training camp. There you go. I'll be doing this every day. Nigel for potential one-on-one tight end battles. They've been. He's been on Sammy Watkins a lot. It's weird, and Sammy Watkins has won a lot. Who would you say had the best practice today on offense? Sammy Watkins. Bateman made some plays. And probably Dobbins. Dobbins, it's hard to tell with running backs, like I said, but he looks good. He looks good. He looks ready. Stones, let's see. Spenny or the man. Appreciate it. I say we don't re-sign Mark Andrews. They're definitely re-signing Mark Andrews. It's not unfortunate. Neither is drops. Can't wait to see Lamar Jackson. Have I seen anyone else besides Williams and Ellis play nose tackle? Yeah, I think Aaron Crawford spent some time there. I think a few guys have. They're rotating guys through. My old coach used to make receivers tape plates to their hands in college. Yep. How to receive the ball, quiet hands. LJ is very stout. We got Big Ben. I don't know about that. How was Matabuike? I think he looked like Ford. I remember, he's out there. I don't know. I really do not pay attention to line play if they don't have pads on. I really don't. I think he might have batted a pass. I know, Trace has had a few batted. I think Calais Campbell's had a couple of them. At one point, Calais Campbell was like the second leading pass breakup player in the NFL last year before he got hurt. Do you think this receiving core is it? I think they're better than anything Lamar has had, for sure. Like, undoubtedly. How did Bateman look? Bateman looks great, man. He looks just like he did in college from what I see. I mean, I've never saw him in person in college, but he sets guys up. He has a bigger presence. He knows how to use spacing and work the boundary, work the sideline. I haven't seen him drop anything. So I think he looks good. I think he looks definitely at least solid as heck. Jimmy just better stay healthy. We'll see. Live recaps, appreciate it. Thanks, Kelly. Who am I most excited to see play this year? If we're talking preseason, I'm excited to see what Prochet does. Miles Boykin had a good day today offensively as well. I know people are kind of like putting them against each other, even though they kind of aren't the same receiver. But yeah, Boykin had this is one thing I missed. Boykin in 2-minute drill. Like I said, defense was pretty stifling. Jalen Moore had the deep drop over top from Huntley. They had Huntley upset. And then Miles Boykin ran a nice over route where he kind of over route, meaning like you run, it's not like a slant. Like a slant, you might take 2 steps forward and then cut, but it's just that same angle as a slant off. And then you sit down somewhere between the hashes. And Boykin kind of set it up a little bit where he like gave a step out like he wasn't going to, and then he just slowed into it. And as soon as he turned around, the ball was there. He caught it, got right upfield, and then dove down. There was like 4 defenders deeper than that. It was 2-minute drill. I think they had like 11 seconds on the clock, and he just dove down as far as he could ahead of before the defenders were there. So he had a heads up play. I know Keith Williams was talking about him and just talking about how he wants him to get the mental aspect fully operational and kicking. So that was good stuff from Boykin there. I don't have any thoughts about the pass rush. That was a question. 7% drop percentage is like exactly the NFL average if you're talking about Mark Andrews. So that's, 7% is not bad. It's like, anything into the 9 range is bad. Bateman reminds me of Chad Johnson. Bateman reminds everybody of somebody. Anything from Broderick Washington. Again, I'm not really watching. He had a ton of reps. He was out there. He's getting some first team run and stuff. Moving him in. Do you think the Ravens will sign Chandler Jones, trade for him? And no. Top 5 mobile players. Top 5 mobile. So to me, top 5 mobile players, guys that are covering ground, I guess. Definitely Deshaun Elliott covers ground. Definitely Sammy Watkins. Definitely. Boykin covers a lot of ground. He's got those long legs. Marlin is mobile as heck. Linebackers, I'm going to start hopefully getting some padded practices here so we can see who's covering ground. I'm sure, Patrick Queen is, but you like to see him kind of do the opposite. Do you think Boykin will actually be used to his physical stature now? Wouldn't, surprise me to see them a little bit. I just don't think that Greg Roman or Lamar Jackson, they like efficiency, and jump balls are not efficient. So that kind of is a little interesting. 3 players stock up, 3 players stock down, I guess, through, a couple days. Malik Harris, someone asked about Malik Harrison. Malik Harrison, again, I'm not focusing on them a ton. I haven't seen any egregious errors from him. He's very calm presence in the middle of the field. I think he takes after LJ Ford a little bit in terms of just, letting the play come to him, reacting when it's his time to, and things like that. So I think he looks solid. But 3 players stock up, 3 players stock down. I would say Oliver's stock is up. I would say that Prochet's stock is up. I would say that Bateman's stock is up. I mean, Bateman's stock is as advertised. He's a first-round pick. From what Wink Martindale's saying, away stock is definitely up. Looks like they're really happy with away right now, and where he's at. Trying to think who else. Bozeman didn't have any. I didn't see any snap errors today, so day one, a couple snaps, God forbid. Crowd was pissed. And then day 2, day 3, Bozeman, been putting the ball where it's supposed to go. So stock up for Bozeman. Defensively, I would say Brandon Stevens, I guess. I just haven't seen him out of place. I know a lot of people looked at him as like a project. Looks like they're putting him at safety, and he's communicating a lot and all that good stuff. I think Dalen Hayes' stock is up a good bit. Yeah. So I think that does it. Stock down. I guess because Oliver looks good, I would put the rest of the tight end stock down. I would put Chris Westry's stock down today. He didn't see a ton of snaps. I don't know if he didn't look banged up. He was vibing to music and just didn't see a ton of run. Again, Nigel Warrior. Warrior. I don't know what the deal is with Warrior. I'm intrigued there with all this boundary corner play. I wonder if they're going to do that in preseason games. That would be a little surprising to me, but we'll see how the cookie crumbles. Anthony Averitt's stock is on the ground. It is down. He has not had a great opening, not being able to practice until today, and I don't think he saw many snaps today. Have I seen a ton of snaps under center? First day was a good bit of snaps under center. There's definitely been consistently some boots and some things like that. I think they're going to run some more zone, as I've spoken about many times, and run some boots off of that from under center. So we'll see some outside zone and some duo and some inside zone, some things like that. So there's definitely been, I'd say, a good bit of under center. You say still showing Greg Roman's 10-year-old playbook. I mean, listen to what Marquise Brown said. The man has a gigantic playbook. So just got to prove that guys are able to operate. I guess stock down Hollywood, not able to go 2 days in a row, but he looked really good at the same time, so you can't quite say that. But I guess that about sums it up for today. Appreciate everybody hopping on. Again, I'll be doing these, sometime around noon. Typically, I've got some obligations at noon today, so I got on here a little bit earlier. But I appreciate everybody hopping on. Appreciate the questions, and I'll be reporting back after the live practice tomorrow at the stadium, and should be padded practice, so I should get a good look at some people thumping pads and have some more info on some backs and some linebackers and all that good stuff. So appreciate it again. Make sure to follow along BaltimoreBeatdown.com and on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and whatever else, all that good stuff. But I appreciate you guys. Does it for me today, and I'll talk to you guys soon.